Kids, get your popcorn now. Let me tell you the story of the space Viking, Thor Odinson. He was no ordinary man. He was a god. And after all that, he reclaimed his title as the one and only Thor. Oh, spoke too soon.
Jane? Well, you're right.
The only ones who gods care about is themselves.
So this is my vow.
All gods will die. You are not like the other gods of kill. Because I have something worth fighting for.
Let's see who you are. I take off your disguise. And flick.
Oh,
You flick too hard, damn it!
Shall we help him? And eventually, grape.
Welcome back, everyone. We have a brand new Thor Love and Thudner trailer to break down. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs. We finally got our first look at Gorr the God Butcher, Christian Bale. He is going to wreck most of the MCU gods before Thor gets to him.
With an axe in the face, his body is dissolving in a bathtub in Hell's Kitchen. Just had to kill a lot of people!
If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We'll just start at the beginning of the trailer and work our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs, WTF moments as we go along. They start with a brand new scene of Korg telling the story of Thor in his life to these small children, part of this blue alien race. They could be Centaurians. There aren't that many blue aliens besides Kree inside the MCU that we've seen so far, besides the Centaurians. That'd be Yondu's race. He's like the other blue-skinned alien that we know. He's wearing his brand new costume. You see in the background that giant tree that Thor's sitting under as he's trying to meditate about what he should do with his life. He's talking about being more peaceful, but really he's called to action because of what's happening with Gorr the God Butcher. And they have the funny moment where they reveal him learning about Jane Foster's version of Thor and Mjolnir for the first time. Like, he's all happy to see it, and he's wearing his brand new helmet. The blue version of the costume is like the second upgrade that he gets. We see a couple different costumes that he gets throughout the trailer. He goes from the 80s looking Eric Masterson version of Thor with the jacket. It's like his Ravager's costume. He's called Ravager Thor when he wears this. He has like a Mjolnir inspired t-shirt. He has the gold boots from the classic Thor comics that we also see in the trailer when he's younger. He gets all swole again, but then he gets another costume upgrade, like he slams the hammer down like we saw during Ragnarok, changing the appearance of his costume. He goes to his second upgrade where he has the pelt on, but then when he sees Jane Foster Thor for the first time after he's gone back to New Asgard and he's wearing his second upgrade, the blue-looking Rune King Thor, like most powerful Thor upgrade costume. He's got a much bigger version of the helmet with the wings on, which is also a big comic book Easter egg. He's just meant to look like the most powerful that Thor has ever become. Like, everybody gets costume upgrades in their movies, but they play the same Avengers Endgame joke that they did with Captain America, where he's like reaching for Mjolnir and you think that he's going to take it, but then it goes to the other person. In this case, it just happens to be Jane Foster.
he reclaimed his title as the one and only Thor. Oh, spoke too soon.
Jane?
It doesn't seem like they're modulating her voice at all, like she still speaks like Natalie Portman's character does in the other Thor movies. You may have realized that joke that he says about not having seen her in 8+ years is actually him talking about seeing her during the events of Thor the Dark World, but it was during the Avengers Endgame time heist. That's technically the most recent time he's seen her. The joke about saving planet Earth for the 500th time isn't meant to be a lie because he's over 1,500 years old, so he visited Earth many times before the events of the modern-day MCU movies. They have a much longer version of the workout montage with a couple different scenes of him losing all that weight from Avengers Endgame. It's the same version of the Guns N' Roses song from the first trailer, Sweet Child of Mine. They're using 80s music because it's an 80s inspired genre that they're going for in the movie. Like, that's why all the titles are inspired by the 80s Thor titles. That's why during the movie, he's wearing the Eric Masterson 80s looking costume for the Ravagers. All these people that he's fighting when he comes back to New Asgard is just a version of Gorr's army that he has working for him. Now, the weird thing that they do, though, when they reveal Jane Foster Thor, is that he goes from the old version of the upgraded costume to the brand newest blue-gold-looking costume when he's learning about Jane Foster Thor for the first time. Like, he sees Mjolnir in the old costume, but then when he's reacting to Jane Foster in the trailer, he's already gotten the costume upgrade. So there's some missing footage in here that we're not seeing. Like, something happens he does to upgrade his costume again, get even more power. But all this destruction behind them, all these burning buildings, this is all meant to be New Asgard. You see a version of Valkyrie riding on her horse in the sky. A lot of people asking if they're going to revive the Valkyries just in general at the end of this movie. It's always possible. They've also said that they've given Valkyrie some extra powers in this movie too, as she's become king of Asgard. You also see her using Zeus's lightning bolt when she's fighting Gorr at the end of the trailer, so I'll talk about that in a second too. They make all these jokes about remembering your first time, how it's so special, mostly talking about Jane Foster the first time he fell in love, but everybody knows what they're really talking about. This big hall that she crashes down into underground, where you see her looking around these giant heads, it looks like a bunch of dead gods. I think it's just meant to be another place of power that's meant to reference a lot of the other MCU gods that Gorr has been going after and killing. Because like zoom in and enhance behind her here, you actually see this shroud over this one head. That's actually the Living Tribunal. We just saw a version of that during Doctor Strange 2. Like during the sequence of them traveling between universes, they fly right past the heads of the Living Tribunal. So it sounds like this place is just a place of great cosmic significance, not just to the gods. Like one of these heads is a skeletal looking head, so it's meant to represent gods of different aspects of creation and reality. There's a whole bunch of brand new scenes of all of them at Mount Olympus. Like their version of Mount Olympus exists the same way that Asgard exists. It's like this different planetoid that you have to travel to. It looks like we see Valkyrie in her armor picking up Thor in his old Ravager's costume on this trash-looking planet after some battle with the Guardians of the Galaxy. He has that funny conversation with Star-Lord about finding what he loves. People wondered if there was a missing character in this scene. Now it seems like they're confirming that Valkyrie is here and she's trying to get Thor to come back to New Asgard. In this scene in the trailer with the cage, you can see a version of Thor inside. It just seems like a planetoid that Gorr has used to try and kill some of the other gods, like he's trapped Thor here while he's waiting to kill him. Then they finally reveal Christian Bale's Gorr the God Butcher with the version of CG that we're going to see during the movie and his version of the Necro Sword. So a lot of you asked about the Necro Sword. Is it going to be like the comics? Is it going to be any kind of null backstory? Because in the comics, they actually retconned the Necro Sword to be the primal symbiote, which wound up being a big Venom and Null Easter egg for the comics. I'm not expecting them to invoke the Null character, so I think it's just going to be a version of the Necro Sword, and it probably just winds up being a cosmic artifact that gives him the power he needs to kill gods. I am a little surprised that they didn't make him look like full Gorr in the comics, like they made his face look kind of like Christian Bale's face. He is meant to be part of a different race of people in the galaxy. But a lot of his story during the trailer is basically his comic book story. They're trying to be pretty authentic to that. He has a family who winds up dying this senseless death, and then when he learns of the true existence of his own people's gods and that they did nothing to stop it, he learns that most of the gods around the MCU are pretty lazy, don't really get involved with the affairs of man, don't care about their followers. So when he finds the Necro Sword, he goes on a quest to kill them all slowly. He goes full American Psycho on all the MCU gods. There were brief references to this during Moon Knight where they said two of the gods that were part of their pantheon, Khonshu's pantheon, had gone missing. That's because Gorr had been killing all the gods. Originally, there was going to be a deleted scene talking about Gorr the God Butcher during the Moon Knight finale, but just because of the release timing and them not being sure when the movies were going to come out, they just decided to get rid of that. You also notice one of the big changes here is that they actually bleed all the color out of the frame when you see a lot of these Gorr scenes. Like when Thor and Valkyrie and Jane Foster's Thor are fighting him, you see there's basically no color aside from their weapons in the trailer. It sounds like that's going to be involved with the power that he gets from the Necro Sword. Like something about the sword just bleeds all color out of reality. The scene with him seeing this giant, dead, rat-looking alien is actually one of his friends in the comics. It's right out of the comics. It's him witnessing Gorr's destruction. It's meant to be the god of this other race of people. So this is him just learning about what's happening with Gorr the God Butcher. But it sounds like, just like in the comics, in the trailer and the movie, Gorr will have already been busy killing gods for a long time when Thor learns about him for the first time. There's a bunch of scenes of Jane Foster's Thor and our Thor fighting Zeus's men. It just seems like it's this giant contest in this giant council of gods. In the comics, they actually call that the Godhead. It's basically meant to be an assembly of all the most powerful gods of the MCU. We just got a first look at Bast, the Panther goddess, who's Black Panther's god, the god of Wakanda. It seems like this scene is happening in this giant arena here where all these people are assembled. And why would you do something like that? Like you do this big build-up, they have this funny moment with Zeus making Thor all naked. This is probably happening before Gorr shows up and kills a bunch of these gods. Like this probably turns into a giant kill box. Why would you bring all these gods together in the same place if not to make it easier to kill a lot of them? Zoom in and enhance on the tattoo on Thor's back. This actually seems like a brand new thing. I think the idea with the tattoo is that it's just to pay memorial to his history, like all the great things that have happened to him, the big battles that he's participated in. Like it's meant to be hardcore, but yes, you are seeing a version of Loki's horns as a tattoo on his back. So imagine how Loki, or the Loki variant from the Loki series, would feel about this when he sees Thor again. Like, wait, what? You got a tattoo of me on your back? We get a brief teaser for some of the powers of the Necro Sword. He smashes it into this planet here. You see all this energy arcing out from around it. They have this giant battle against him, and the whole thing with Valkyrie using Zeus's lightning bolt, I think, is because Zeus probably gets killed during the events of the movie. Like, they portray him in kind of a funny light because they're kind of buttering you up before he gets this big WTF ending when Gorr shows up. Because we're talking about Greek gods, it also seems like they're trying to make a Wonder Woman joke here because it looks like the ropes that he's whipping around are like Wonder Woman's lasso of truth rippling with energy. There's only a little bit of new footage with the Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think that's because they're focusing on all the brand new Gorr stuff and all the brand new stuff on Mount Olympus. But just in general, this trailer is meant to give you a much better idea of the story, which is basically the Gorr the God Butcher comic book story married with a lot of the Mighty Thor story from the comics with Jane Foster becoming a version of Thor. I'll do a couple of bonus videos about the bigger concepts, but if you have any questions about what's going on in the trailer or you spotted really big Easter eggs that I didn't talk about in my previous Thor trailer videos, just write them below in the comments. My full Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 1 and Episode 2 video will be posting later this week. We're probably going to get a Mandalorian Season 3 trailer. There'll be a couple other big Star Wars trailers, so make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss those. Everyone click here for my other big Thor Love and Thudner trailer video, and click here for my brand new Black Panther 2 first look at Namor. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.